I'm Mel,
And I'm Andrea.
and we've been asking ourselves, WTF? Where's the fun?
So, welcome to our podcast for heart-led business leaders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs ready for more. More impact, more wealth, more joy, and more magic, all while having even more fun than ever before.
As co-founders of FunX, we believe that life and business is way more fulfilling when you're following the fun.
So, we're flipping the script on success, giving you permission to create from a whole new paradigm where you can have a lasting impact while nurturing your well-being and having a freaking blast along the way.
So join us each week for engaging solo episodes
and real conversations with experts who are embodying this new paradigm of leadership, spiritual wealth, business growth, and of course, fun.
If you're ready to reignite your spark, make bold moves, and lead from a whole new energy,
Let's jump in and have some fun.
We just finished recording an amazing, incredibly insightful podcast with Dana Sinclair.
So Dr. Dana Sinclair is just one of the most incredible sports psychologists. She holds a doctorate from the University of Cambridge and the University of Ottawa, registered as a psychologist. She's also a clinical assistant professor with the Faculty of Medicine at the University of British Columbia. She has also worked with every single major sports team league that you could probably think of.
Even the Olympians.
The Olympians. She's worked with students, surgeons. She's worked with us. And she really is the real deal when it comes to performance. This episode has been on our heart ever since we knew we wanted to do the podcast. We're like, Dr. Dana is going to be one of the first guests because she brings so much value with performance.
She simplifies it so easily and tangibly.
Yeah, you're going to learn how to transform your performance with simple cues, little tips, so that you can play at your best.
Sorry to interrupt. My highlight of this episode was we learned something really cool about her. Her book was in a book club in prison.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
And she just got back from prison.
Yeah,
so listen to the end for that.
You're not going to want to miss this. I feel like we could go on about all the awesome things we talked about, from the Olympics to how she even helped us. So tune in and let us know what you think.
Welcome to WTF. Where's the fun? I'm Mel.
And I'm Andrea.
And today we have one of our favorite people we've ever worked with, Dana Sinclair.
Woohoo! Welcome. We are so excited and grateful for you to be here.
Always great to chat with you guys, so I'm looking forward to the conversation.
It's actually funny. Our photographer, we were talking in our first mastermind that we did. We always have a videographer around, like snapping pics and stuff. And we were saying, oh, this year we're challenging ourselves and we're working with someone new and different for us. We're working with a sports psychologist, but we never said your name. And Matt was listening, and Matt happens to be your nephew. And we didn't even know that until he took pictures of you on your book tour.
That's right. And he has been great. And funny that we made that connection because I had no idea.
He had no idea, and he did, because he's like, I can only think of one person who would have the criteria that you're describing. Yeah, he's like, I know her. She's my aunt.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's great at what he does.
So, Dana, how did you get into the not only sports psychology, but like the level of which you do it? Because I've never met a sports psychologist who does it at the level that you do it.
Yeah, like you're helping Olympians, you're helping like literally
NHL players, NFL players, like business owners, students, like everyone.
True. And, I sort of started off in the sports world and then went to the world of psychiatry at hospitals, reproductive psychiatry, and then came back to join my husband in our business. And I, again, went back to sort of the sports side, and it's morphed into performance. So it started with professional teams, Olympic teams, and now it's covering anybody who performs, which is essentially all of us. No matter who you are, what you do, we all have to perform, and the same principles and structures apply. So whether it's a surgeon or a business executive or an IndyCar driver, it's all about the skill set to be able to get the most out of yourself when it matters most.
Yeah.
And that can be tough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time we talked with you, we were in the spa, or at the spa. We were like in a hallway, like hiding in this quarterway so that we could actually hear you. But the reason we connected with you is it was really about the performance piece. We were at the point where I wanted to up level my speaking. Mel actually wanted help with her speaking, and we really felt like the missing link for us was the performance. It was like I was getting in my head, I was scared, or all these things, and we put it out to our network. We're like, there's got to be somebody who can help us with this specific piece. And what I love about you is that even though you are working with a lot of like high level humans in many different forms, you're also like, you know what? Yeah, I'm totally game to help. I can help you. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So it was amazing.
Well, I had fun with you guys, actually, speaking about your zone of performance. But no matter, as I say, no matter what's going on with you, everybody wants results. Everybody wants to be good at what they do. And when you can figure out how to get the most out of yourself in the pressure moments, because most of the time it's all fine, right? But learning how to perform when the pressure's on is so critical to your individual delivery of high performance. And it's much less complicated than we make it out to be. There's a few skills and a few steps. And if we pay attention to those things, then you're ready to get to your best in the tough moments. I'm thinking of actually, I'll turn to sports for a minute. There's a tennis player, a young pro that I was working with, and she decided things had started to go a little bit better for her. And she decided, okay, if I want to get to Grand Slams, I need to up my mental game because I hadn't really paid attention to that. So we did, and she played her way all summer into, high end tournaments, played her way into the US Open, played her way into the final. And who she up against, this young kid? Serena Williams. So she thought, oh gosh, okay, this is going to be tough. So she just like, I'm just going to give it all I can on the mental side because the skills are there. The skills don't change. It's the mindset that changes. So she went for it. And, did she play well? She played great. Did she win? Yeah, she won. Not because of her skill level, because everybody's skilled. It's because she was able to use her head in the moment, get calm-ish enough to be able to think her way through the match. She did good for her.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That is actually the reason why we wanted to work with you because Mel's actually she came from high level sports. Yeah, but we both played high level sports, but we had different experiences. Mel pursued hockey at a very high level. Like she played with all the Olympians. She played professional at one point, and I played high level and then I got in my head and I stopped. So I realized that if I had you back then, I probably would have played much higher. But I also realized I wasn't actually that dedicated to it. It was like I played it because I enjoyed it, but I didn't really want to pursue. I didn't want to go through what it would take to play at that high level. But for business, I did.
Right.
So do you find, like, I think that's part of it is like, I think performance is important, but it's also like having the commitment to what you want to pursue for the performance.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, you can't get to the highest level if you don't give it a go and work at it. And everybody talks about working hard, working hard. I think most people are pretty good at working hard. It's working smart. It's figuring out what makes you thrive, what you're good at it, but more importantly, ooh, what's getting in the way? What are the weaknesses? What do I have to get by, overcome to get to where I know I can get to? I know I've got the skills in me, right? But how do I actually get them when I'm in my head?
Yeah. So how do you do that? Like, let's say you are in your head. What do you do?
Well, everybody gets in their head.
Yeah.
And first of all, the thing you have to figure out is what's in the way. What are your hot spots? What distracts you? What derails you in the moment? And usually, people that I work with, they have a pretty good idea of what's in the way. Um, but other people maybe are a bit shy about it or don't really want to say. So I put a list in front of them. And it could be I think too much about results. When I'm thinking about outcome, I falter. I'm self-critical. I have self-doubts. I'm worried about my expectations. I don't want to make mistakes. When I'm negative, when I'm thinking negatively, when someone's yelling at me, when, it could be anything, right? It could be anything. And again, when we keep our minds over in that zone, that hotspot zone, eventually our performance is going to break down because we're no longer focused on what to do in terms of the task to get the job done in the first place. So it's all about identifying those sort of derailers or those super derailers. Then I've got to have something pre-planned to shift on over to that's actually going to make a difference in the moment to the task, whether it's an interview, a presentation, a tennis match, whatever.
Today's episode of WTF, Where's the Fun? Is sponsored by The Fun Experience, a curated mastermind for established business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs ready for more. More magic, more joy, more wealth, and more fun than ever before. So if you're ready for a peer-to-peer mastermind that's helping you to embody more leadership, more impact, and make bold moves, The Fun Experience is where it's at.
I know when we worked with you, for me specifically, I would get so fucking nervous in certain meetings.
Sure. Why would
Like,
you?
to the point where I was not enjoying myself at all. And I knew I wasn't being my best self. And I just would get myself so worked up that I wouldn't talk. Like, or if I was talking, I'd filibuster the whole meeting. And then I'm like, oh my God. So so I know one of the things that you help me with is just shut up.
It's true. It's a good one. And you can't do that in the moment unless you've sort of planned it out ahead of time, right? So
Yeah.
there are a few behaviors that are big difference makers. So the people that I see that are the best, that do their best in those tough moments, because, some people really are just better in the moment than others. But the good news is we can all learn how to do it. So, there are difference makers in terms of behaviors. And one is slowing down because that allows you to
Mhm.
shut up, right? And it's the tension that gets in our way. So everything's fine. You hit your pressure moment, boom, your tension goes, to the roof. And then you can't think. And then you just start reacting. And that's why being able to slow down, soothe yourself, give yourself 5 seconds so that you can either tell yourself, shut up, hold, or, okay, what am I supposed to be doing now? Don't respond to him, respond to that person there, etc. Stay
Yeah.
calm, whatever it is that you've planned out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I must say, one of the good strategies is, yeah, okay, shut up, take a moment, slow down.
Yeah. It was even little things that I do in meetings that I didn't realize I was doing, like just sit open.
Yeah.
So that we're open and it's the body language of it all. Or even I didn't know I was doing this. Annie told me I was doing it, but I didn't believe her. But I tend to fidget a lot. And I've learned just to it's almost like she's playing the drums and I'm like, this is so distractive.
Right, and that's just tension, and we're not even aware in this where we think we're fine, tension creeps up, and then we're starting to do all these things that it's like you don't normally do.
Yes.
It reminds me of the slowing down stuff and being nervous in your moments. Um, this Olympic team that I worked with this summer, they had just gotten together, as partners, um, beach volleyball, 11 months before, and trying to qualify in an Olympic cycle 11 months before is pretty almost impossible. Okay, so they got it down to, and it was tough year. They got it down to, okay, one more tournament. We have to win the last tournament, and then we get to go to Paris. Okay, so they're at this tournament, and they're warming up, and you can imagine the tensions are high, right? Because they got to the final game. They had to win this last game, and then they're in. Tensions are high. So what happens? The coach starts to get nervous, get tight, starts to get chippy, crabby, whatever. And he didn't even know it, but one of the players had to actually yell over to him and say, chill the F out.
Yeah.
And, it sort of took him by surprise. But that was all the reminder he needed to, oh, take a breath, slow down. Oh, yeah, he responded great, stayed out of the way. Then, 3 weeks later, we're all off to Paris, all because somebody reminded somebody to slow the fuck down.
Yeah. We actually call it our Dana plan.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. We'll be like if something happens, I'll be like, "What's your Dana plan in this situation?"
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really stuck with me.
And it's so what I love is it's so simple. So that when you are in and I think the pressure situations, like our whole process, what we help entrepreneurs with is the first step is slow down. And at the same time, when you're in a pressure situation, I think it's almost like not instinctive because you're like even your nervous system, like literally everything says just fight or flight or just figure it out. But actually to slow it down, there's so much science behind it around like just take a breath.
Yeah.
And I actually thought of this and I was like, I wonder I I have my Dana plan. So part of my Dana plan, step one is talk to Mel. Because I used to ruminate a lot of my thoughts and that would bring me down this rabbit hole. So I'm like, okay, I had to actually communicate it out loud. I had my self-talk, which you helped me with, which is huge.
Yes.
And then the visualization piece. So other than those, what else am I missing for what we call you might call it something else, but the Dana plan.
No, I'll go with the data plan. That's okay. So once you've sort of figured out those things that do kind of, make you go sideways or raise your attention so you don't perform or think as clearly, then the 4 skills that you can choose from, you don't have to do them all, but they all work. So I always like somebody just pick something, just try to do something. Don't just keep going with your default behaviors. Change it up. Try something, right? So that first thing is, yeah, getting calm-ish, right? Slow down. However way you want to do it, whether it's breathing, whether it's talking to somebody, whether it's running up a flight of stairs to, you know, disperse with attention, whatever. Then the next one is having some cues. So most important is getting calm-ish, then having some cues. Oh, what do I actually do in the moment that's going to advance the task, right? So again, if it's tennis, okay, easy one. Well, I need to either move my feet, get to the ball instead of lunging at it all the time, get to the ball to set up, or I just need to accelerate through my shot. If it's an interview, maybe like you said, you need to sit up straight, look the person in the eye, and actually listen. Don't just, wait for the time to pass for you to jump in and ramble. Actually listen and take your time. Things like that. And you can do this for any job, any interaction. Say you're dealing with a difficult person or, you know, what have you. So that's the second skill, sort of having a cue, right? Because again, it's not how you feel, it's all about what you do. So I'm big on telling my clients, in the moment when you're trying to do something well, I don't care how you feel. I care what you do when I do care how they feel, mess. It's important to forget that, get onto what you do. Then there's the self-talk, and there's 2 parts to that, sort of your facts list, taking note of your accomplishments and what you are good at and what you have done, and then the smart talk that goes with it. And then, yeah, the imagery, I call it, I like people to keep daydreaming, right?
Mhm.
Imagery can feel like it's a big, long process, whereas daydream is short little clips of what you wanna do. Again, I worked with a violinist, and she said about, she was learned in university. Oh, well, all this imagery stuff, but my instructor said, if I have a 15-minute concerto, I've got to do the imagery for those 15 minutes and try to go through everything. And I'm like, wow, no, because I wouldn't do that either. There's no way you're going to be able to do that, or I'm not even sure it's that beneficial. So maybe you want to do imagery if you want to for 50 minutes with different parts of the piece and how you're going to, move your fingers and your stance and all that. Great. But now you'll get a lot more done if you take 10 seconds, think it through, see your reaction, see a new skill set, see you speak in a certain way. That's when you're going to get some results if you do that a few times a day as opposed to one big long one.
And what
Oh,
I loved when you were saying, like, the daydreaming part, it's like, it's literally part of your day.
Yes.
So it could be, like, even when we're working out, we actually listen to your book. When we're working out, I know we've already listened to your book, we've read your book, but it's like, I like having the reminders because you break all this down, and I love how you wrote it because it's so simple, but I love the stories. Like, the stories, I think the way you lay them out are brilliant because you can put yourself in those situations and be like, "Okay, so how can I apply this to where I am, what I need to know?" And then you have like the little tips to go with it. So one, your book is brilliant, and two, you can continue to listen to it to help integrate and embody the things that you're saying.
that's a really good point you make about sort of reviewing things because it's so hard to get, I guess, being able to replicate your performances if you don't keep reminding yourself, right?
Mm.
Which is why it is good to just get little reviews, little cues, little tips, what you do if that's really smart to do, because we all sort of drift away from it, especially if we have a great performance. If the guy got it, we're good to go. Not so fast. I always warn my clients, like when they've had a great event and they think, yep, terrific. And I'm like, I don't need to be a downer, but hey, hold on, that was great, but don't just think it's gonna come next time. You still have to prepare it the same way or
Mhm.
similarly.
Yes.
So once you've got these review tips and strategies and skills, then it's time to come up with your little plan. And I always, call it the data plan. It should fit on a sticky note. That's what
Yeah.
we're going for at the end. And once you've got that, now we're in business.
Yeah.
One of the things that we learned from you, it was do the do.
Oh,
And that has stuck with me, like, through business since we've worked with you. It's like, for instance, we're hosting a big event tomorrow, and it's
detail.
been it's been weeks of preparation, and it's a one-day event, and there's fucking snow on the way, so that has blocked
Oh, you guys, yeah.
that screwed us a bit, but at the same time, I'm not gonna what can I do, right? Do the do my fucking best,
Yep.
and it'll work out. Like, the things that you have taught us, like, didn't just apply for me in meetings, like, I'm taking it into other areas that we're doing, and I'm so grateful for you.
Oh, well, I do appreciate that. And we did have some great discussions. And what I love about this stuff too is we don't know how to do it unless someone lays it out for us. Right. And it's taken really me decades. I mean, I've learned over decades what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And I know if if I can't help somebody quickly, like I'm in the sidelines of an NFL game or in the tunnel of an NHL game or on a plane trying to help a player. If I can't help them quickly, they don't they're they don't want anything to do with me, right?
Yeah.
So, I've had to learn how to get in quickly to help someone right now, 10 minutes before a game or between a series of plays in a football game for people to want to use this. So,
Mhm.
that's why I get such a kick out of this and working with people like you guys is because you know what you want. You just need a couple of strategies to get there. And all we need is the simple stuff because you're doing the rest anyway.
Yeah.
Why spend your time thinking about all the stuff that you're already doing well? Forget
Mhm.
it. Carry on.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like there's so many nuggets in there. It's like even when you're drift, shift.
Oh,
Yep.
that one
Shift
stuck
when
with
you
me
drift.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Shift when you drift.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was actually talking to an Olympic skier yesterday, and we were going back over this because she's obviously very good. But, one can get caught up in a slalom course thinking, "Oh, that gate wasn't so good. Now I'm slow." Right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. So, again, your mind just quickly shifted into the hot zone. Oops. And I don't mind that as long as you can get out fast. So,
Mhm.
it's all about in the moment. You gotta be able to shift when you drift and have
Yeah.
you can't shift if you don't have something prepared on that little sticky plan.
Exactly. And it's so funny because it is so aligned to what we do because our whole process is but it's just on, I would say, on a
Yours is more like in the moment, you're working on the high pressure, and we're like, how can we get you to infuse the same thing, but maybe not necessarily in the high pressure? And it's slow down. A lot of it's that reconnection and the awareness piece. The more awareness you have, then you can come up with the plan, but you have to know what the plan is.
Yeah.
And the plan has to be so simple, like what you said, like the sticky note to be like, okay, I need to loosen my shoulders. Or for me, like when I'm on stage, the biggest thing is I need to like slow down, speak clearly, speak up.
I'd love to hear a bit more about that because you do obviously a lot of stage work, right? You too. And that's a tough gig. And, I've spoken to many people who, of course, your tension shoots up and they have to have certain things to do before they get on stage, of course, mentally, because again,
Hmm.
talent and the content is already there. That's not going to ensure your success. It's how you deliver it, right? I mean, it's like Celine Dion says, it's all about the performance. It's not the song, it's the performance.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, she knows what she's talking about. So tell me what you think resonates for you, what you do on stage, if you don't mind, because I love to hear this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's
Yeah.
actually, I found the most um, game changing part for me where I had to focus on was the preparation leading up to my talk. When I'm on stage, for the most part, I do very well under pressure. Like as a police officer, like that is the part where I'm pretty good under the high pressure. And leading up is where typically I drift because I get in my head. I'm like, is this good enough? All of the self critical talk.
It was a nightmare for me.
I feel like it's getting better.
And you're so much better ever since we worked with Dana. You are so much better.
And I think the things that made the biggest difference for me, actually a couple of them, and we're practicing with the plan. So I love preparation and I love practice. And what I found is I was having the most challenging part in practice because I was expecting my practice to be like the show. So I actually needed to do 2 rounds of my talk, the first one as practice, and to get me in the energy of almost like if I was playing soccer, I do a warm up, and then after my warm up, I'm in the performance. I wasn't warming up for practice.
Right. Okay, I have questions about that because you just made me think of something that I had to do the other day. I had to send a video to a podcaster guys. They were doing the best of 2024. And they wanted all of us to do like a 3-minute clip. So I thought, okay, easy. And thought, okay, I'll sit there doing it. I don't know how many takes I did to just,
Yeah.
and like, I'd stop after 10 seconds and think, what was that? So, I mean, I kept blowing it. So I had to actually sit myself down and say, come on, like, what time is it? I got to get out of here. So I had to actually, I didn't prepare. Like I knew my content, but I didn't prepare. I thought it would just be easy.
Yeah.
Finally got it. But I thought, oh my goodness, come on, Dana. So I love that, you realize that practice it's not just going to come because it's practice, right?
Mm-mm.
Exactly. And I still do the same plan I would do as if it was a talk day. So I do like my whole the essence of it is I talk to Mel if I feel like I'm in my head. I feel like for the most part I'm
You don't
not
do it.
anymore. Check the tension. Then for me, I do almost like an energetic practice where I feel like I'm connecting with myself. I'm dialed in, just like your book. I get dialed in.
Yeah.
Then I do a quick replay of it. And I really, for me, I connect with the end of the message. If I can connect with the end of the message and see myself already being because that's the part where the energy really comes out. And I think that's where the practice started to come in with being like, if I can continue the beginning of it, if I could start the beginning of it as if I just ended it,
Right.
the whole talk is going to be way more fun and potent and powerful. So that was really helpful, I think, for the speaking aspect. And then when I'm on stage, one thing I haven't figured out yet, so this is where I think what you said about the slowing down is a great reminder, is I when I'm practicing, it's normal and I'm not so much in as nervous. But when I go on stage, the first part of my talk, my mouth gets so dry that I'm like, I can't even talk. So now I'm like, I can't talk because my mouth is so dry. So I think I need to slow it down even more in practice so that when I go on stage, I'm like, okay, go slower. And then I'm hoping that my mouth isn't going to be dry.
Okay. That's actually pretty smart. Can we talk about this?
Yes.
Please.
I'm really interested. Okay. So you're all ready to go. You've done your prep. You're ready to step up. And usually are you sort of in the wings or are you like at a table and then you have to get up and
Usually I'm in the wings and I always have a fun song. So I start with a fun song, we do a dance, get everybody moving.
okay, good. So you can loosen up. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So
And
then
then when
we
to you.
Yeah, so then we do a little fun dance and then once that's done, that's when I start into the talk.
Is that when the mouth goes dry?
Yes.
Okay. So I think all you have to do is plan for, say, 2 to 5 seconds after the dance, right? Because you transition from the dance to the talk, and one expects that just to flow, and maybe one isn't ready for the transition. And you could be standing up there for 5 seconds, smiling and doing nothing, and it's going to feel like an eternity, but it's not, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we rush, right? Because well, you need to slow down. So it means that your tension's a little bit up and you're rushing for the start. How would you like to see that start unfolding? Like those 5 seconds.
Yes. So maybe instead of, because I can see it now, I am rushing. I'm like, okay, well, I did that. Now I got to run into this.
Exactly.
And then I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I'm thinking, holy shit, what am I doing? Because now I'm like, yeah. So it's slow down. So maybe for that 5 seconds,
Grab a drink of water.
grab a drink of water.
Get your tension down.
Yeah.
Can you, I mean, are you standing there smiling at the audience of hundreds?
Yeah.
Okay. And they're getting settled too, waiting for the start. Can you take 2 seconds, 5 seconds to just reconnect with breathing?
You know what's funny? And maybe I'll try this in one of my talks. In before every single coaching call, anything that I do other than on stage, I'll get them to do a warm up. And in the warm up, I get them to do breathing. And the reason I do that is because I do it with them. So now, both of us are now connected
Nice.
and just calm. So maybe I'll try an experiment and just try that in the talk.
Why not? Because once you've sort of gotten them going and you're about to start, how does your body feel? Where's your tension? Because it can shoot up. Like,
It's probably like an 8 out of 10, and I'm used to operating when I do any of those things at like a 4.
yeah. Eight for pretty much anything is tough.
Yeah.
Is tough.
Mm.
And I know you're good under high pressure, but even as a police officer, it's not as transferable as we would like it to be. You know,
Yeah.
you have learned those behaviors in those tough situations. You've got other tough situations, but they're a little different. I mean, you have to apply the same thing, of course, but being prepared for these little areas are pretty important. They're not just going to come. They're not just going to, because it's a high pressure situation, it's not just going to transfer.
Yeah. And I think this is why we wanna focus on this. It's because we do wanna be better under the high pressure situations, but not it's different. Yeah, like, I'm just trying not to die in policing, basically. Here, this is like my whole message is about having fun and joy. So how are you doing that when you're under, like, immense nervous pressure?
Well, exactly. Well, any performance is pressure,
Yeah.
right? But again, maybe it's just that 2 seconds. Like I've had a client who all he had to do, like he couldn't connect to the breathing and slowing down, but as soon as he got his shoulders out of his ears,
Mm.
oh, he could throw the football.
Mm.
Yeah. So it could just be something you do to your body. It could be breathing. It could be just telling yourself, I got this. I'm really got. But it's good to pick something for those 5 seconds.
Okay, I'm gonna practice it, and then I'm gonna do it, and then I'm gonna give you an update.
Great. When's your next one?
January. Yes.
Okay. I'll be waiting.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about confidence.
Ooh, that's a big topic.
I know. And you're an expert.
Well, everybody loves to talk about confidence, right?
All I need to do is be confident and I'll get the goal. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. How many times? Okay. In your, well, in your work career, in your competitive career, how many times have you heard coaches or superiors say, you know, you're prepared, just let it happen. Believe in yourself. Just trust the process. Just trust it. Be fine. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a nightmare for me. Right. Because what do I do if I don't believe in myself or I don't think I can do it?
Yeah.
But I have to. So I don't think it's very helpful. So confidence to me is one of those things that um, you might want, but you don't need. It's totally overrated.
Yeah.
Confidence can change on us from day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, from stepping on stage to actually starting your talk, right? It can all go up and down. So that's why I say forget the confidence. Confidence, is all about how you feel, and performing well is all about what you do. So let's get off of the confidence thing and move on to what do I need to do to get confident? And you see, I think
Mhm.
there's a formula out there, but people reverse it. So people think, I need to be confident before I can do my thing. And I'm like, no, let's flip that. I need to get calmish and I need to get my mind on the task.
Yeah.
That's going to give me results, lead to some satisfaction, fun, confidence. Yay, here we go. And I just keep going like that, right? So
Yeah.
and it does take it takes courage. It's daunting to think, "Oh, I don't feel great, but I've just gotta do this anyway." Yep, we do. But people are executing in areas where they have skills. It's not like I'm being asked to go and do a stage play and me getting up there and thinking, "Oh, just do it." I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good at it.
So
Right?
true.
Right? But if you are, say, a musician and you're actually good at it, and you've got the talent. Okay. Do we care how you're feeling? No. We care what you do.
Mhm.
I've worked with many clients that, no, no, I got it. I'm confident. I feel good. And I'm like, that is great, but you better have an antidote if things go a little bit sideways. You better have that little sticky plan to jump to just in case you get a little bit rocked.
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of clients that happens to.
There was tons of times playing hockey in college. Like
Ah,
there were times when we knew we were playing a lower ranked team and we were confident. And guess
no.
what? We lost and we looked stupid, even though we were a more talented team.
Nope.
And then we would play like a higher ranked team and we were dialed in and we would sweep them.
What do you think's going on?
I know.
Against the higher ranked team, the expectations, you're not worried about how you feel. You're just thinking, okay, I don't have to be that tense. I've just got to go and do what I can, right? Try to upset them, try to get in the way, all of that. So you're on task.
Hmm.
As you playing someone not so great, and then a mistake happens, where does your head go?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, into that zone, right? Oh my gosh. The whole time. And, I don't know, then people stop moving their feet. They stop finishing their checks. They slide by the front of the net. Don't stop there, right?
That, yeah. And my favorite coach of all time that I had the pleasure of being coached by, Ken Duffin, um, even when we were ranked number one when I played in Toronto for the Arrows. But
Oh, arrows, yeah. Ooh,
yeah,
big time.
we would play like the last place team. And he would be like, this is when we have to show up the biggest. Like we have to play smart, do the little things that get us the goals and you'll be fine. Like he's like, keep it simple, keep it smart. And that always stuck with me. Just do the little things that we know we're good at and we'll be fine.
Mhm. Right, because you stayed on task. He helped
Yeah.
you figure out how to stay on task
Yeah.
because playing well or performing well is just as distracting as performing poorly. Because guess what? In both cases, You say you're lousy. Oh, my results. This is terrible. I'm going to be bad. Okay. You're thinking results. You're in the hot spots. You're not on task. Hey, I'm playing great. Look at me. Or my stage thing is going great. And then all of a sudden, ooh, what was I saying again? Because you're thinking about results again. You're not thinking.
Yeah.
So
Great.
true.
Have you
I
had
think as entrepreneurs with sales, if the same thing, it's like, oh, I got no sales. Oh, I have all these sales. And then you almost lose the point of what it is that you're doing.
Or you become cocky or like,
Or
yeah.
just not in the essence of what you're connected to, what you're creating.
Yeah.
just going to come. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's the same when we started this podcast. My confidence was so low. I was like, I don't know. I was just not in a good space. I'm sitting beside Andrea, who's a professional speaker,
Any bonkers that she was saying.
and I was putting myself in a pit. And then I went back to my Dana plan, which actually I just remembered what it was called when I worked with you. It was called the fuck it plan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And I remember just being like, fuck it, just go back. And one of the things on the bucket plan or the Dana plan that we always do, it's like, I forget what you called it, but it's where you, it's like you go through like all the things that you know you're good at, like your track record, or your history,
Facts list.
facts list. That's it. And I just remember being like, oh, okay. Like, I know I'm funny.
Yeah.
I know I can pretty much talk to anyone about anything. And then I kind of just was like, okay, well, like, fuck it. I'm gonna lower my shoulders, collect my breathing, and I'm gonna do my best. And doing more episodes is my practice, right?
Yeah.
So the more we did it, I think it took me like maybe 4 episodes.
I don't know. By like 4 episodes, she was listening back to the episodes and I could just hear her laughing at herself. So she was like loving the whole
Like in a good way. Yeah, I'm hilarious.
See? Well, you kind of are actually. And again, like you're obviously the end result of that your tension was down. You got your tension down, and you could get back to what you do and what you're good at, and you kept your mind on that.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, hilarity ensues, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
now I love doing this.
oh, and be because you're good at it though, because you've done what you needed to do to your skill set, and you're getting the results, and you're good at it, which is why it's
It's
so.
fun. Yeah.
That was actually gonna be my question. So our whole thing is about fun, and it's not just like frivolous fun. We're like, everything's amazing, everything's always fun. It's like, how can you find the joy and no matter what, in what it is you're doing? But I also know it is also more fun when things are going well, when you're playing at a high level, when you're performing well.
Yes.
So do you find a correlation between teams that are or even individuals that are doing well, performing well, enjoying, like not taking themselves so seriously, actually having fun in the process versus those who are just like
Beating themselves
sucking
up.
the joy out of the journey?
Absolutely. If you're having fun, it means your tension's a bit down and you can stay paying attention to what you're doing. So that, I think one of the most underrated ways to nourish your mental health is by paying attention to your performance, right? Because if you do, then you do end up having fun, which feeds everything, right? You don't burn out because you're having fun, because you've taken the time to pay attention to what makes you good and to how to replicate it. So when you're getting those results, you're going to have fun, and that just feeds your soul. It feeds your performance. It's a great way to go through life.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are onto a good thing.
Yeah. Do you ever find like even like I don't know, it could be an athlete when they're maybe and I've seen this, it's almost like they lose their spark a little bit or they lose that joy. Like what would you do for them?
Well, usually that's because either they're not doing very well and they're in their head, um, or they're just scared. There's a lot of self protection that we feel when we're trying to perform or step up and try to be better. Yeah, as I say, it takes courage to try to be better, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So having some of the skills to try to do it's very important. But usually when I see, oh, I'm not motivated, I'm not having any fun, okay, well, what's really going on? And I'm underperforming usually is what the situation is, or I can't handle this difficult person, or I'm not reacting a certain way that I think, you know, I could do a better job at. So often though it is just that fear of failure or self-protection. If I know I'm better than this, if I really try it and try to, whether it's tension or whatever, if I really try to do this in the moment, I know I'll be better. But if I do it and it doesn't work out, oh my gosh, I could be crushed. So
Yeah.
I back and I step away and I keep doing the same old thing and I'm disappointed. So keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna keep getting what you're getting. So one little change can make the difference between, you know, having that spark and getting back to the fun. Mhm.
Yeah. It's like you're either in fear or you're in fun.
Right. And you know what? Fear is in that hotspot zone. Fun is in the, you know, fact zone, calming down, all the in the skill zone,
Yeah.
in the skill zone, the date zone. That's all the fun zone.
Yes, it's so true. So for your book, because I do think the book is a game changer. So it's called Dialed In, Do Your Best When It Matters Most. Where can people find it? How can we get our hands on it?
Amazon, Indigo, any independent bookseller. So yes, please. And if you do happen to pick it up, anybody, and you have comments, let me know.
Yeah. It's a fantastic listen or read. I think it's something that you can highlight and make notes on, you can refer back to. We listen to it when we work out. Um, there's so many nuggets in there that you can, like, even if you're not an athlete, you can apply it to your everyday. You can apply it to probably parenting even.
Absolutely. I work with parents. In
Yeah.
fact, guys, 2 months ago, I ended up in prison. And
I thought you would end up there.
yes, at me to a T. And I was with book club in prison.
Really?
Yeah, with the inmates. They had all read the book, and it was so much fun because they wanted to talk strategies and apply it to what they were doing daily. And one guy said, I'm up for parole soon, and I almost got into a mix with a guard, and I remembered what to do at the last minute, and I stood down and controlled myself, even though the guard was being difficult. And you said I sort of saved myself, and I
Wow.
now have a clean parole hearing coming up. So I'm like, I like that. So they were talking about how these types of skills really help them even daily in a tough place like prison.
I bet when you were writing your book, you were like, one day I'm going to end up in prison. And hearing how this book had helped, these little skills have helped guys stop being in prison and still make parole.
Yes, no, I was pretty happy about it, and I knew I'd end up in prison, but not for that. It was a happy accident.
That's so cool. Before we go, just for fun, what was your highlight of the Olympics? Because we know you were there.
Mm, okay, many. Okay, the best thing about it was the venue that I got to hang out at every day was right under the Eiffel Tower. It was magnificent. It was beautiful, and of course, um, they get
Yeah.
cheese and wine.
I think just Europe in general is just,
Yeah, it was.
they know what they're doing.
Wait, I have one more question before we go. Throughout your whole career, what has been your biggest highlight? I know that's a big question because you have so many.
Okay, one highlight was, well, I've got a couple. One was actually when I ended up working in every major league at the same time.
Cool.
Wow.
Every major league at the same time. I had a blast. It was really fun. Um, I had a lot of fun discussions and lots of good sports viewing, right
Yeah.
up close. So I really did enjoy that. Another highlight is helping. There were a couple people, one in particular, an NHL guy, and he went public with it. He was struggling with a tough childhood and trying to right himself, And he finally did and made it to the NHL and, had a great career and made a lot of money. And that kind of thing, I find much pleasure in watching people perform and do a great job for themselves.
Yeah. That's so good. Do you ever get, I'm sure at some points you do, but or like, does that feel like a lot of pressure? Like in the moment when you had all of these major leagues or at the same time? Or was that just like, I feel good about this?
No, that was I feel good about this. It, now, logistically, there was a lot to try to figure out how to service these teams and what they wanted at the same time and not drop the ball. That took a lot of thought. But, I have I have Jim beside me to bounce that off of and talk through how to do it too, just like you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need in my view, you need that person that you trust and or somebody you can talk to and work it out with. Super helpful.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's also the blessing. It's like when you're playing at a high level, there's also a lot more to do and be and hold. But I think that's the blessing in getting to have that opportunity.
For sure, and see what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Not gonna
Oh,
be
so good.
Yeah.
This is so good. So we'll make sure that in the show notes we include all the places that they can learn more about you, your book, just the incredible things that you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you could leave with sharing one thing from your heart to our listeners' heart, what would you want to share?
I would share that being better is not as complicated or as difficult than we think or that we want to believe. Try to pick out a strategy or two so that you take a step forward and you don't always hold yourself back and maybe blame everything else. Because as I say, you do have to dial in and getting calm-ish and thinking of something in the moment to do can change your life today.
Yeah.
So give it a go.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love that. You are so great, Dana. We have had a pleasure talking to you. You're the real deal. And I hope everyone gets your book and comments how much it's changed their lives.
Thank you so much, Dana.
Thanks for listening to WTF. Where's the fun?
We're Andrea and Mel, and we're so excited to be on this journey with you to see how fun it can get.
If today's episode brought a little bit more fun into your world, be sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review.
And remember, life and business is so much better when you're following the fun. So let's have some fun.